You guys ever wonder what a Pico projector looks like inside? Well, so have I. But I never wanted to take mine apart because I didn't know if I was going to get it back together. But it needs to be cleaned because the fan has pulled a lot of dust into it and it's really getting the picture to be kind of distorted. So let's take this one apart, see what makes it tick, and see if we can get it cleaned up. This thing's called the cube. And what this cube is this is an insignia projector. To give you an idea how small this thing is, there it is compared to a VHS tape. It's tiny. This is a video projector, a DLP video projector. If I turn it on, it projects an image. And this unit works. As you can see, there's the image projected on the wall. It's actually fairly bright. It is quite bright in here. This is a neat little unit that you can connect to any HDMI source or phones that have an MHL connector. As you can see, the image is projected. It's LED. It's a DLP type of unit, which means it uses a digital light processing chip. This unit works. I'm going to turn it off here. It's battery powered, but of course it'll also power up from AC power. And I think we're going to take this thing apart, if it's possible, and just take a look at the inner workings. I've had this little thing for a couple of years, and I've often wondered what goes on inside it. Well, today we're going to find out if we can get into it, which I'm sure we can. Looks like it's just held in place or held together by a couple of small number 0 JIS type screws. I'm sure they're JIS, like a camcorder or a Walkman would have used. So we'll remove the little cover plates from the back and get the little Walkman screwdriver out. Let's take this thing apart and see what goes on inside it. I'm actually kind of looking forward to see how they've packed an LED projector into such a small package. Now this thing's got lots of hours on it. They say the LED life is only 20,000 hours on this unit. I've been using it for a couple of years. Project stuff on the ceiling and so forth with it. Okay, how does it come apart? I'm going to imagine that this thing probably, the sides probably peel off and it pops open. I see a bit of dirt in here I'm going to clean while I've got it apart. There's some dust in here. I think this gray cover probably slides off of it. I wonder if there's another screw under this label. It wouldn't surprise me if they did, which they haven't. Okay, there it goes. Bit of dust in here because this thing's got lots and lots of hours on it, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to open it up, was to clean it out. But I also want to see how they've put this thing together. There's a couple more screws. There's a little speaker, I think, in the back here. A little fan in the top. There should be a little speaker back here because it does have sound. And a couple more screws, and this fan should lift out. Now, obviously, this is the same type of a system that's that Sony had put into the flip-out screen on their some of their handycams, which had a projector built in. It's going to be the same technology, so it's going to be pretty small. But this just gives you an idea of how small they're able to make an actual DLP chip. The same chip that's in that TV that I just worked on, that had the color wheel that fell apart. But this one doesn't use a color wheel. This one uses an RGB LED. Okay, there's the battery pack. Speaker. The battery's not even plugged, it's directly soldered down to the board. I'm interested in just getting this the cover off it so that I can clean the lens and clean the underside of the optical. There's a cover on here and there's a lens, and I'm interested more in getting this thing apart so that I can actually clean the lens itself and the cover. However this thing comes apart, there's a lot of dust in here because there's a little fan that that blasts air into it all the time. This whole thing should probably just lift out just like that. There we go. And there it is. Got the main processor here, and this is the optical block, which consists of the DLP chip and a fan to cool it. There's a little focus control here that adjusts the lens, as you can see. Probably should disconnect the battery on this thing just to make it safe. But as you can see, with the exception of the actual DLP chip itself, which is socketed, I might be able to just unplug that. If I flip this up, I can undo the clip here. Even without taking off power, I can undo that, and I can undo this plug here. Just like that. Now I can unplug this fan and just set the circuit board aside without actually even de-energizing it, because With it turned off, the buttons are on the side here to power it up and off. With it turned off, it shouldn't be an issue. This is the DLP portion of this little unit, the actual projector. And how a DLP operates is it's what's called a micro mirror device, digital micro mirror device. I'm thinking that these are probably covers that hold the screw in place. There's probably screws here. Am I right or am I wrong? Anyway, the DLP, it uses micro mirrors that either reflect the light towards the screen or into a light dump. And these little mirrors are mounted on pivots, little hinges, and they flip back and forth very quickly. And it has to do it 3 times.
Screws. I think this is just popped on top. It's press fit.
It has to do 1 frame for red, 1 frame for blue, and 1 frame for green. It does it sequentially. Now these LED projectors, they pulse the lights from the 3 LEDs in sequence.
There's a fair bit of dust that's collected in it over the years. This unit has a lot of hours on it.
It works exactly the same as the projectors, the home projectors. Some used LEDs, like the Samsung LED projector, rear projector. Others used a mercury lamp with that rotating color wheel, such as on that DLP projector that I recently serviced. They all operate exactly the same way though. The consumer ones are a single chip, and they produce all 3 colors by exposing 3 separate frames. The professional cinema projectors in movie theaters actually use 3 chips. So they have 1 for the red, 1 for the green, and 1 for the blue. But they all use DLP technology. The cinema projectors use lasers as their light source now.
I think there's screws here that hold this in place. There. Okay, the fan is off. We're getting 1 layer closer to the actual optical block for this thing. I hope this thing works when I put it back together. I would actually like to use it. I use this thing with a little media player to display pictures and stuff and video, and as a clock. Just have the digital clock, and it shines up on the ceiling. So if I wake up at night, I can see the time. It's kind of a high-tech way of displaying the time using a little micro projector. I got this thing years ago. It was donated to my channel years ago. Probably 5 years ago now. Okay, I think these screws here probably take out the little bit of a heat sink there. Okay, here we go. I should lift this whole thing out now. A little bit of luck. Hopefully nothing will fall apart. I imagine that this is the LED array, and these would be the lights, the connections for the red, green, and blue LEDs right there. And this is the DLP. I don't know if the LED can be separated from the DLP or not. Obviously they've got a good amount of thermal paste on here because obviously the LEDs themselves do produce some heat. Wonder if this comes off. It probably doesn't. I get the sneaking suspicion that this part is a sealed unit, and I don't know that it's going to come apart. There's a screw here. I have a sneaking suspicion that this does not come apart. These are the LEDs, I bet. I bet you that's one there, and the other one's here. There's three of them, right? So there's probably a red, green, and a blue. There's a flex cable that goes across here, right here. This is a flexible cable. So this is probably the LED right there, and there's another one here, and the third one might be on the top here, and they shine down into a prism. I'm not going to take this apart any more than it is because I have a feeling, oh, maybe they will come out. Hey, look at that. Am I right? Is this the LEDs themselves? It looks like it is. Looks like this is the LEDs. If I flip this one out here, okay, there's an LED there. And there's another one, yeah, that looks like that's exactly what they are. Can you see the dichroic mirror in there? You can see the reflection, the blue and the red on there. So that's exactly what it is. One of the LEDs is right here. The other LED is here. And the third one is here. You can see the LED cable. So one LED is mounted onto that. The other LED is here, and the third one is there. I wonder if this will lift up if I swing this out of the way, whether this other one will lift up and the whole thing will come apart. Yeah. Okay, two of them are in here. Looks like two of them are on this side. You can see the flex cable running down here to two of them on here, and then it runs around to the other side. So I'm going to put this back on. I don't want to damage this thing. I would like it to still work when I'm done. And I'm going to put it back together at this point.
Should probably put some more heatsink compound on here. Let's get some. Continuing the reassembly. Got to get this. This is the focus adjustment here, and that just adjusts this lens back and forth. Just got to drop this in like that, so that this will adjust the lens, which it does. As you can see, it moves the lens back and forth. We'll put a couple screws in to hold this in place. The fan goes back on top. The largest screws in this whole entire unit is the fan. Okay, that has the optical engine back together, sort of. We're going to clean the inside lens here off of the cabinet. Just dust that off. So I'm just dusting it off with a Q-tip. And examining it with a bright light to make sure that it is clear. Once I get this plug back in, I should be able to power this thing up, providing that I haven't damaged anything, which I shouldn't have, because all I did was unplug a couple plugs and there's no power. I mean, the battery's connected to it, but there's nothing touching the board or anything, so we'll just put this stupid connector back in and close down the gate. Like that. If I power this thing up, which is the button that turns it on, I think it's this one over here on this side. That button should turn it on. And I have a picture.
Nice and quiet now. The fan's not making all the racket it was before. See, there it is. It's working. Looks like there might be some dust actually inside the lens that's not on the surface here, it looks like. It's not so bad. I think this bloody thing's bright. It's LED, right? But it's still, it's bloody bright. There, that's a little better. This thing was getting quite noisy. Like you could hear the thing. And I'll put it on a media player just to show you guys what I do with this thing. But it's actually kind of cool. Turn it off. We're going to put the unit back in the cabinet now. Oh, my power button fell out. Shoot. Take it apart and put that bloody power button back in. This is going to be the hardest part, getting this bloody thing back in its case. Came apart real easy, but going back is not quite as simple. Got to line up this power button, get this back in its place, and I mean, it should just slide in, you would think. It would just slide in. I mean, it slid out easy enough. This whole thing should just, maybe if I attach the speaker back to it, to the back here first, it'll kind of hold everything together. Yeah. Get the screws in this and hold this in place, because this will hold everything together, I think. Oh, I'm missing one bracket first. Let me just put that bracket on. I forgot. Good idea. This piece here. Where does this one go? This goes on here, I believe. I checked that before putting it together. One of the heat sinks wasn't on. and it's got power. Toughest part, getting the stupid buttons to line up, stay in place while you put it together. I think I got it. I surprised myself in this thing that I actually got it back together. This is very compact, like a camcorder. Got all the shielding on this thing, to keep out any undesired RF emission. This top should just go back on. Just slide in. Kind of snaps in place down like that, and then the top just clips in just like that. And then there's 4 little screws that go in the back. And then we'll try this thing out, see if it actually still works. Actually, it should. It should work. It's displaying the static image when you turn it on. It says it's got no device connected to it. We'll just plug this into an HDMI source and display a picture. Should be able to just plug it into my cable box and display a picture here on the wall. HDMI inputs, power input, charge it up. Let's plug it in. So there's the unit being displayed just off the local TV channel. Here, commercials come on now. I can let the commercials play, but there's the unit there. I just got it displaying on a piece of paper. The aspect ratio is wrong because I haven't adjusted it for this thing, but there it is. It's zoom this out here a bit. There's unit just displaying my cable box. I'll go grab my media player that I plug into this thing and we'll play around with that for a bit. But that's what it does. It'll display a picture. If I point it at a wall, I'm just holding it a few inches up from a white piece of paper. But if I put it at a wall, it'll actually display quite a big picture. And there it is. I don't have it focused right here. Let me adjust the focus. I'm just holding this thing, right? So a bit better. I just got it shining on a white card right now. What normally what I do with this thing is I hook it up to my cable box and or a media player, and then I can watch TV at night, go to bed, and just look up at the ceiling and watch a really big screen. And it's not so bad. It's not an HD picture by any stretch of the imagination, but it's good enough. Anyway, that's what one of these little units looks like inside. Hope you enjoyed this view of this micro DLP LED powered projector. This one's an Insignia, but there's lots of them out there on the market. They're not that expensive, but all these little DLP ones work basically the same. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one real soon. Bye for now. Cool.